Ladies and gentlemen, the unusual artistry of Sid Croft.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh. I just heard Kelly's introduction again. Am I on, Kelly?
You're on.
I am?
You are.
Hi, everybody. Wow. The beginning of a brand new year. January 1st, 2023. Guess what? I take my hat off to all of you out there, and I wish you the happiest, happy New Year to everybody watching today. Did you have a good time last night? I hope you don't drink, so I'm fine. You know, a huge, I just want to take a minute or two, because a huge legend left us on Friday, Barbara Walters. And it's just crazy because you just mentioned, it seems like anybody. And I have a story because I've been on this planet so long. And, you know, I have a story about Barbara Walters and her whole family, actually, because back in the 50s, her dad, Lou Walters, are we okay, Kelly?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, I see Kelly plugging in all these plugs and, you know.
I'm fixing things behind the scenes.
It's like Frankenstein's laboratory. I keep telling everybody out there, oh, I wish you could be here to see all the wires it takes. And, God, I'm looking at myself. No wonder I wear a hat, Kelly.
Stop it.
Yeah.
There's a song about being vain. I won't sing it for you.
Okay, so back to Barbara Walters, because back in the 50s, her father, Lou Walters, I loved him so much. He had a nightclub, famous club on Broadway in New York, and it was called the Latin Quarter. And huge production show. It was what they used to say in those days, a TNA show. Do you know what that means?
Now, what does it mean, Sid?
Tits and ass. Okay. So anyway, I would appear there many times. And I love working there. Every time I was in New York and I'd let Lou Walters know that I was available, he would book me into the Latin Quarter. And that's where I met Martha Raye. She was starring. You know, they would have the same show. I think all the production numbers would be there for almost a whole year, but every 4 or 6 weeks they would have a new star. And Martha Raye, that was my introduction to her, and we became incredible friends. And I've told you so many stories about her. And I don't know if there's anybody out there that knows who Sophie Tucker is, because she was the red hot mama, a comedian, and huge star. And I appeared there with her. And well, anyway, every single performance that I did there, Barbara Walters' older sister, Jackie, never missed my show. And I think she was secretly, because I was, you know, that's back in the 50s. I was sort of, well, would you say cute? Handsome. I was handsome. And
well, you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
Yeah. What happened?
It's not the 50s anymore.
I have a mirror upstairs, you know, it's frightening. Okay, so anyway, but I'm still here. I'm so grateful. You know, and Jackie was so intrigued with me and my act. And Barbara Walters, I don't remember who the star was, it might have been Sophie Tucker. Barbara Walters came backstage and introduced herself and said that she was Jackie's sister. And she said, if I give you the money, would you please take her to lunch? Oh, it would mean so much to Jackie, to the Russian tea room. The Russian tea room was on the street level of, I don't know if it's still there. Well, with that name Russian, it probably isn't right now. And famous restaurant. And she asked me if I would take her to lunch there. And I said, you don't have to give me the money. Of course I will. Well, the whole Walters family lived in the same building. Maybe, Kelly, you know the name of it. I have forgotten. It was on Central Park West, where John Lennon was shot. And he lived in that building. And so I picked her up, and I sort of think that we walked over. It was a beautiful spring day, and we didn't take a cab. And that was my introduction to the entire family. So, and then of course, Barbara Walters, as the years went by, became, like I said earlier, a huge, huge legend. And
wait, who are we talking about? Barbara Walters.
But Barbara Walters.
What, Baba Wawa?
Yeah. She didn't like that, but
SNL did. Saturday Night Live did.
Yeah. But she did eventually, embrace it. Okay, so anyway, that's my Barbara Walters story. You just throw out a name, and I'll have a story. Well, anyway, I got to tell you something. My head totally exploded a few days ago when I was chosen guest of the year on the Adam Carolla show. Can you believe? Wow. I can't believe that.
For someone who talks so much shit about you for so long.
No, but forget that.
Now you guys love each other.
But wait a minute. Did you see his list, Kelly, of guests that Adam has on? The biggest stars in Hollywood and beyond. And oh my God, what did I say, Kelly, to deserve that?
I have no idea.
I mean,
no,
you were
okay.
there.
I was there.
Yeah.
And to give you the real everything, I was a proud mommy in the waiting room watching the show. And I was out there, literally, I was laughing. I was listening to all of the hubbub outside where everybody was running around saying what a great show it was while it was happening. And to see Sid go from such a quiet hermit of a human 3 years ago to this person who was answering questions and quick-witted, and it was so overwhelming for me to watch. And then at the end he was like, I thought you were right next to me, and I wasn't. I was completely in a different room, and it was so great.
Well, because sometimes I have Kelly look up, because how can my little brain remember 93 years of stories? But I can. And they're all accurate, because I've approached a lot of stars. I tell stories about them, and I said, you know how we exaggerate? We take a story and we inflate it as we keep telling it. And no, I've never had anybody say, no, that's exactly how it happened. The other day we went to the Chateau Marmont. That's going to be a show. And where I lived there. that's where all the stars, when they came from the East Coast to do a movie or whatever, a screen test, they stayed at the chateau, surrounded, behind every single door, every hallway, was a huge, huge star. And I lived there every time I came to Hollywood, starting in the 50s, the 1950 actually. I didn't stay there when I came here. The first time I came to Hollywood was with Ringling Brothers Circus, and that was 1945. And we lived on the trains, and below me on the lower berth was a fire eater who stunk of kerosene, and I had the upper berth, and they told me, maybe you've heard this story. You've heard most of them, but every time I tell them, it. I love telling them because I love, my mind going back to all those incredible, incredible memories. And
I have to say thank you so much to the people who invited you to go to the chateau.
Oh, wow. Yes.
To Crofty and to Dave.
Yeah, thank
because
you.
I had begged.
What an experience.
I had begged Sid for the last 2 years. We've got to go to the chateau. We've got to go to the chateau. We've got to go to the chateau. Any place that Sid goes where he's been, decades ago, he goes and it's new memories and it's new stories for us, not for you, but for us.
Well,
it jogs memories.
All the ghosts.
Yes, I know.
That were next door to me. Don't forget, I got the Judy Garland job because of the Chateau Marmont.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Judy Garland opened up a road, a huge road for me. Because
a yellow brick road?
A yellow brick road. Because when I came back from Europe, I'd been there, I don't know how many years in the 50s. And I used to work all the time. I came back and couldn't get a friggin' job.
That's the thing that
people forgot.
Yes, that's what's
me.
so amazing to me is, if you're not active in the papers during that time, you're forgotten. You're a blip. Today it's social media, but back then it was literally, if you're in Europe, you're there. You're not here, and nobody here.
Well,
and for years.
Yeah, but you know what also happens, Kelly? It's just like the networks. Agents come and go, clubs come and go, so there's new clubs, never heard of me, it's like Judy Garland's husband said, I never heard of you, would you audition? I said, audition? I've never auditioned in my life.
Don't you know who I think I am?
No, that's not me, that's somebody else that says that, Okay, but let's get to something. We talk about stars we've had. I'm talking about that old year behind us, 2022. No, it was, we learned a lot of lessons in 2022, and we've all individually have gone through so much the last 3 years. It's like been 3 years, hasn't it?
It has been.
And we've learned so much, and it's been tough. But again, I'm going to use that word. For me, just talking about me, I'm just so grateful every day, and we readjust, with changes. I've seen so many changes in my life, and you just can't say, well, back in the 40s or back in the 50s. We're not living in the 40s and the 50s, or the 70s or the 80s or the oh my God,
No.
or the 90s. We are living in a world that I don't, hopefully is going to straighten themselves out, but that's what we pray for all the time. But, and getting back to last year, last year, we've had a huge amount of stars. We have never in 3 years missed one of my shows. And I can't even believe it, because I go, how many weeks, Kelly, in a
52 weeks
year?
in a year.
And we've had 52 and more stars, because sometimes we have 2 or 3 on a show,
Yes.
or 2. And so, holy, can I
Crap.
say it? Yeah,
Holy crap.
holy crap. I just, honestly, Kelly, I cannot believe. So last year, I made a list, and what I was going to do today, I was going to, 52 or 53 or 54. I was just going to give you like short little bites on each star. But Kelly's putting together, and she's been working her little butt off for days, putting together, a thank you to all those people. I do, every time we go off the air, I call whoever the star is, I call them immediately. I have 52 phone numbers. I got their home phone numbers. So you better be nice to me out there, everybody. Because people are always calling me, do you have such and such a phone number? Well, let me call them first, to see if it's okay. But anyway, 52 or more stars just last year. And we've been on almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
3 years. So
February was when I conned you into social media.
Yeah.
2020.
Kelly, so 50,
2020 in February.
So 50. Give me a break.
We've
I
had
have
like
talked to 100 and over 100.
Over 150 people.
I have?
Yes. More than 150.
And why do they say yes?
I have no idea to this day.
And then I always say to them, wow, an hour wasn't enough. Would you come back? And they always say, oh my God, in a minute. Yeah, I had the best time, listening to, I guess, my stories. And we love listening to their stories.
Oh, look who just got on.
Who got on?
It's Crofty.
Hey, Crofty, thank you. Did you miss the opening, Crofty?
He must have heard all the good things we were talking about.
Okay, because we mentioned your name. Crofty is a huge, huge fan, and every time he comes to Hollywood, he brings me treasures, a bag full of treasures. It's Christmas every time he comes here. Old clippings and reviews and programs I don't have. I just, it's insane. In those days, I moved so quickly from job to job that I would send stuff home to my mom, a review, and she'd call me. I don't even think she would call me. She'd probably send me a note, and no, she would call me. It was only a nickel then. No, well, if I was...
How did she know what number to call you at? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, maybe she didn't call me.
You would have had to have called her.
Letter. Yeah, that's right. Because I moved so quickly. Every week I was somewhere else. And in Europe, you never call back to America. You go broke every minute. It cost a fortune,
I'm sure if you had to use a landline, it'd still cost a fortune.
They didn't have landlines. What are you talking about? It's not like the telephone company, you can do long distance and it costs you nothing. Yeah, I still have the landline. Listen to this. And AT&T calls me every week and they'd like me to get rid of it. And I've had it, I don't know, ever since. Who invented the telephones? Who was that?
My brain wants to say Thomas Edison, but there's another part that tells me I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
Alexander Graham Bell or somebody.
Okay.
I don't know.
Both of them
I flunked
invented it.
Everything in life.
Well, I've had my same phone number when I lived in the old Rudolph Valentino house. That was the first time I got a phone because I always stayed in a hotel. So I used the telephone, you know, and or the pay phones were a nickel. They were a nickel. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, you know, I just individually, I wanted to thank every star, but 50 some odd stars, we'd be on.
It's probably closer to 70 people we've had on. We've had on.
We had a lot of.
We've had on people from Sid shows. We've had on fans.
Yeah.
We've had on puppeteers. We've had on people who are not fans that maybe we've changed their minds. We've had on a lot of people. And through that, you had CroftCon, which was 100% put on by fans.
And they came from all over the country. They did, to San Francisco.
Yeah, right outside of San Jose, yes.
Yeah.
Orinda.
Yeah.
And it was
in the beautiful old 1930
yes.
theater.
Derek Zemrak owns the Orinda Theater, and he contacted Sid at the beginning of last year and said, we're thinking of putting together a grouping of Croft fans, you know, to celebrate everything Croft, to which Sid and I looked at each other and Sid was ecstatic and we're in. We'll figure out how to get that going. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. All the people, all the fans.
They came from New York. They came from Florida. They came from and spent the whole day, because in this beautiful theater, not only did they show the Puffin Stuff movie, but they also showed a lot of the shows.
Yes.
All the biggies, you know, that,
yes.
Okay.
And the Puffin Stuff movie.
Now that I'm not wearing a hat, I have a huge head. You know, and you can see I got a big head. And I love wearing hats, and I don't have to fool with any of this. And, oh, God. When my hair was black and curly, and then you get gray, and then and then you get grayer.
I still
and then you worry about everything, and it even makes you grayer. But holy moly, I'm still here. Okay, so what were we talking about?
We had the CroftCon.
Yeah.
And this year, well, in 2022, not this year, last year, as of yesterday, we also met with all the people that are doing your documentary. And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
To finally get that going.
Oh, I know. Well, let me, yeah. It's because for so many years, it's not about the television shows, and you know, it is about all the puppet shows, because puppetry is what got me here. And you know, and as you know, and I love repeating it because it means so much to me when I just hear it back. I started as a street performer. You know, I'm 10 years old. I'm a street performer with my first puppet, you know, and that's how it all started. I knew nothing about puppets. I didn't come from a theatrical family, you know, and then I performed in vaudeville. Vaudeville. You all know what that is. You know, that was all stage shows before the movies came. And then when the movies came, they had a vaudeville show and a movie with a movie. But then they called them stage shows, and they were just acts, you know. And then that all went away. And then burlesque came in, and I'm just a young kid, and boy, I got a huge education in burlesque because I saw a lot of boobs. And what did it give me years later? An idea to do a puppet show, a TNA, Tits and Ass show called Les Poupées de Paris that played to millions and millions of people all over the country in 3 World's Fairs, something that was the biggest puppet show ever produced in the world. It took 3 months to install. It was amazing. It really was amazing. And then Six Flags, all the shows at puppet shows sponsored by the Coca-Cola Company for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. You know, the reason that came to an end is because they got pissed off because we had a park, which, can you believe there was a park with my name on it?
Can you believe there was a park with your name on it?
No, the World of Sid and Marty Krofft, with all the stuff that we have done, you know, and that was in Atlanta. And of course, the park in Atlanta, you know, didn't like that because there was a puppet show also in the park, and that's another story. But okay, after burlesque, after I did burlesque, and I worked with huge, huge stars. I mean, Gypsy Rose Lee, you know, I worked with her in a carnival. That was a big thing. Circuses and carnivals, you know, and they had shows with all the rides, and they would come to town for a week or two, or that's how, all the fairs, you know, the state fairs in every major city. It's the carnival that comes in with all those rides.
I have to interject a second,
Yeah,
only because
do it.
Beverly asked you a question last week, and you and I discussed this afterwards.
Yeah.
And she
Beverly
said,
D'Angelo.
yes, she
Love
was
you.
on our Christmas show last week, and she
Killer.
said,
She's great.
what did you learn about being in the circus? And of course, Sid didn't answer the question, and I understand why he didn't. And I also know what the answer to that is, being around him forever. Sid, in being in that circus at such a young age, was heavily influenced by the circus. So I don't think he understood he was learning while he was there. But in being around him and in working on the projects that I've been working with him on and things of that nature, he knows how to sell himself. He knows how to run a 3-ring circus. He knows how to be a barker. He knows how to cater to the masses. That's my point. Yeah, how can you say this is what I learned if you don't understand that's what you learned? You just do it. You lived it.
Well,
you do
who
it.
the hell would know? I'm 15, 16 years old, and then I'm 17, just turning 17. I quit on the second year, and the only second season with the Ringling Brothers. I wasn't in the big top with the 15,000 seats. I was in the sideshow with the freaks. You know, that's what they called them then. And I guess we're not allowed to even use that word today. But I'm just, you know, I'm going back to that year. And who wouldn't think that when we were doing all these television shows, and I said, wow, NBC, we were so locked with NBC, and they had Movie of the Week. And I said, wow, Movie of the Week, they should do my story in the circus. It was called Sideshow. I didn't want it called Sideshow. I wanted it to be called that word again. and they definitely, even back, this is back in the 70s, you know, practices and standards had so many rules, and they couldn't tell my story, you know, because it was movie of the week, 8 o'clock, and they were so strict. They had, you know, the FCC on top of them all the time, you know, censoring absolutely everything. So that movie was made about, you know, there were parts of it that were true about my life in the circus, not the darkness of it, a little bit, but the circus was really, really dark. And boy, you know, when I keep mentioning all these things that I've done, you know, the vaudeville, boy, did I learn Donnie Marie show. What do you think that was?
Right.
It was a vaudeville show. All the variety shows. Nobody, you know, vaudeville went dead back in the 40s. So there was a whole new generation. They never saw anything like that. You know, I didn't want to have dancers. I was in an ice show for years, you know, on the ice skates with my puppets. I mean, give me a break. It was insane. No wonder they hired me. They said, what? What is it? And I became, you know, in this big Broadway show, I walked away with all the reviews. They never saw anything like it.
You had a question.
Okay. What?
No, Sir Barry said, did that Hungarian lady really look like Connie Stevens?
Yeah. No, and she had a little person as a bodyguard. I think they did in the movie too, you know, and she was in love with me, but she liked little young boys, you know.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I mean, there were so many incredible stories in the circus. It was a world, you know, within itself. Okay, you know, and then, you know, people say to me, Sid, where do you get your ideas from? Well, I'm telling you right now, it's all the experiences that I've had. Wait, we haven't even stopped, you know, the ice shows. I mean, that opened up a world after I'm in a Broadway show on ice next to Radio City Music Hall. I mean, there were 150 people in the cast, and I'm in the ice show for a whole year. My dad passed away, and that was really, really, he was my manager and he traveled with me.
And your assistant.
Yeah, yeah. My act was so complicated, it needed an assistant, you know. And so, and that was just sudden. It was just sudden. And, you know, and then after that, there was almost 5 or 6 months I was in that show, but I don't even remember. I went blank because I didn't know what to do. You know, here I worked so hard up until that point, and without him, I thought, you know, it's all over. And then one day, I never told anybody this story. One day, and I'll never forget this, it was like a light switch. I woke up out in the morning out of bed, and it was like my mind was talking to me, and it said, huh, come on, you're going to go, you've got to go way beyond your dreams, and you'll do it. You created your own little world by yourself. You got to this point, you know, don't stop, just keep going. You know, the train, you know, is just, it's on its way. And so I thought, wow, okay.
Does
now,
that voice still tell you that?
Oh, every day, of course. Well, you talk to me.
Am I your new voice?
Every day.
I do
and
talk
you know
to
how
every
insane
day.
I am, and I don't give up. I really
No.
never, and I'm telling everybody out there, don't ever, let anybody talk you out of, so many people come to this town from all over the world and they want to be actors, and their family, of course, wants them to be a doctor or a lawyer. How boring, and I always, they ask me for advice. I've heard this a bazillion times, and I say, no, go for it, but stay focused. That is something that I learned when I was just really, really young. Like, wow, and here I am telling you this, don't ever think about retiring. Don't do that. No, you need all this excitement, It's like, oh, there's so much happening every day to everybody, I used to travel all over the world and see people living in these beautiful houses, and I'd always say, wow, how can I do that? Wouldn't that be something? But those people, everybody on the planet has so much to worry about and so many problems, and the more you have, the more problems you have. I've always liked to make my life so simple, so simple. And, and I got to tell you about that, you mean so much to me, all the fans out there, because you're my energy. You really are. And on top of that, it's even more than that. You know, you you're my fuel. Yes, you are. You tell me all the time, and that started way back with my act. You tell me what you like and what you don't like, and I pay attention to that, and wow, I'm just so blown away, all the messages I get from every one of you. And I wanted to just do this show with Kelly today and not have a guest on. We've got a lot of great guests coming, and I just wanted to 100% to let all of you know how thrilled I am that you enjoy hearing my stories, because at the beginning, I think I said something like this. I said, if you could just, I love sharing them, because if you could just take something, one little thing from my life and use it yourself, regardless of what you do for a living. Everything is show business. Everything, it's just, go left. Why does Sid Croft tell everybody? I think that's my original, go left. Because I've gone left, and you go left too, and just take the plunge carefully, and when you work on too many things, too many ideas, I want to be this, I want to be that, it's fine for a little kid because they're confused. But when we grow up, we got to stay focused and hopefully find something that we enjoy. And boy, when you find that, oh, oh my God, oh my God, you love waking up every day. I just, before we came on, I had a long, long conversation. I didn't ask her yet, but I know she's going to come on because she's a great friend, and we're, working on something together. We're working on many things together, but Debbie Allen, oh, Debbie Allen, oh my God, the greatest person in my life, and there are many, but then there are real special ones. And we had a long conversation today. You know, I've gotten so many great phone calls today from people I haven't heard from in many years, you know, wishing me, you know, a happy New Year. And one call I got, oh my God, are you still alive? That was, they didn't even think I was going to answer my phone.
Now
I said, no,
that's
it would have
funny.
been disconnected. You know? No, no. Yes, I am.
You didn't say you were the ghost of Christmas past?
No. But, you know, it's been, you know, it's been a tough year and it's been a great year. You know what's great about it?
You made it through?
We all made it through.
We're all here.
And we're talking to each other. And you send me the greatest messages. You know, I do, honestly, I do take time and read them. Last night I watched CNN, you know, the New York, the big celebration, you know, the countdown and everything. And Anderson Cooper, he's has reached out to us. He watches our show, and he said that, you know, he's a huge fan. I think his favorite show was Land of the Lost. And why am I telling you this? He said something last night. Oh, he said, you know, he's doing a podcast, and he said, you know, regardless of the thousands and thousands of messages I get, he said, I read them. Isn't that cool? Well, I do too. I don't get thousands. I get hundreds, but I'm not, you know. And I need to take a shot here. It's
You're
water.
gonna take a shot of water.
It's water.
It's vodka, kids. We're starting them early.
I'm not Judy Garland. Yeah. So anyway, you know, 2023.
Yes,
okay?
we have a lot of really cool things coming
now listen
up.
to me. Honestly, I was really hoping I was going to be alive in 19. I'm in 19. In 20. I was very.
Were you alive in 19?
I mean,
whatever?
all these numbers. I was, you know, okay.
I was really hoping I would be alive in
2023, because I don't know, that number really fascinated me. Well, my lucky number is 3, 6, and 9, you know, and so every time I see a 3, you know, I just know something good is coming, not only for me, you know, for all of you, you know. I worry about everybody. I really do, and I always have. And, you know, and I just, you got to just stay healthy. Oh boy, is that the most important thing.
And health doesn't only mean your physical body, it means your mind too.
Totally, you know, and focused. I said that a little earlier. That is such a big word for me, because when I work on a project, which I'm working on something so big right now, you know, with the most important people on the planet, and I just really, I stay so focused on every detail, because I'm a detail freak, you know, because I never had a lot of money to work with. Well, if you watch my shows,
don't even need to. I can tell you the answer is yes.
You know, I started to say, you know, the puppet shows, my puppet act, the puppet shows, the Les Poupées de Paris, the H.R. Puffin stuff, the Bugaloos, Lidsville, of course, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, and Land of the Lost, and a couple of more. That came from my mind, you know, and
Dr. Shrinker.
Dr. Shrinker and Horror Hotel, and Falderall.
And all the feathers and glitter and balloons and dropping the flags
Well,
and the raising of the chorus and the singing of the songs and the national anthem.
No, the balloons.
And the clowns.
Well, because the puppet shows always, that was like my signature. You know, I know how to get applause. That I do
Okay,
know.
and we're going to go right back to, what did you learn in the circus?
Nothing. I learned, you know, I got to tell you what I learned. There were so many, the people that surrounded me, you know, the the odd people, I guess that's what they began to call them. They weren't even happy with each other. They weren't friendly to each other, and they sure as hell hated me because what was I doing in their space as the world's youngest puppeteer? What was my oddity, you know? And they took my banner. This is what really pissed them off individually, because they really hardly talk to each other. They took my banner, which was way at the end of the tent. You know, they'd have the entrance, the barking stage, you know, the ballet stage, they called it, which, why did I go out 10, 12 times a day? When I did 12 shows, I only got $50 a week. I did 12 shows in the top, the sideshow top, big top, and which held about 3,000 people. And that was the overflow, because they were always sold out, the 15,000 tickets when they came to town, because we only came to town for a day. In Los Angeles, I'm lucky. We were lucky. I think we played here 2 days, maybe 3 at the most, where the Grove is right now. That was all woods. And so, where was I going?
They moved your banner.
Oh, so they took my banner. God, I talk in circles.
I know.
You've got to control me.
No, it's way more fun if I don't.
Okay. And they took my banner. This is the first season, and there are pictures of it. And they moved it next to the Giants, who were the big main attraction. I don't know. They were 9 feet tall. They were a couple from Germany. I mean, you never saw anything like it. You know, huge. They were real giants. And so, and then all these performers in the sideshow just were so angry about that, because it's status. The whole circus, you know, in the big top, center ring, that's the star. There's 5 rings going on for every performer. And the 2 outer rings, you know, all the rings are going at the same time, because 15,000 people in the tent. And then the outer rings would go dark. They do their trick. And then the inner rings would do their big trick. And then the spotlight would be on the star. And they would do something explosive. And that's how the show was. And we had 100 clowns. We did. I didn't perform in the big top. And 100 clowns and 1,800 people in the show. You know, oh, 1,800. So when Cirque du Soleil says, oh, we have 36, you know, well, they got 100 people backstage to make those shows work. But anyway, are there some questions out there?
Well, you were telling about moving your banner and why they moved your banner.
Oh.
And they moved your banner to the front of the, right next to the entrance.
Kelly, oh, what would I do without you? You know,
I'm listening.
I wouldn't be on Instagram.
That is very true. We would not be sitting here talking to anybody. That's what you would do with
Kelly got pissed off at me. And I said, this is no way to start the new year.
She said, I'm done with this. I'm leaving.
No, she never said anything like that.
I was jealous of him, and I said, your banner's at the front, and I'm never on the show.
We had a huge, huge, huge rain last night, and I prayed for that. You know, the plants are just dancing in the street today, but along with it, incredible winds. I mean, a hurricane winds. And I checked there were leaks all over my house. I mean, everywhere. But
it's the tiki room in your house when it rains. It rains in your house.
And I didn't go into this one room where all the memorabilia is.
And I found that, and I was sad.
And
Sid was sad.
No, and stuff that we're going to save it, you know. But, oh, my God.
This is right. Job after this show.
This is right before, 10 minutes before we're ready to come on. And I was going to my show. I was going to thank each individual star and give you a little tidbit about each one. But Kelly's doing, you know.
I'm doing a video to thank everybody.
And, you know, and you know what?
But anyway, your banner got moved.
My banner got moved because, oh shit, because I was bringing in a lot of families that were afraid to bring their kids in, you know, because, and I'd go out on the Valley stage with my puppets and the kids would cry. They wanted to go in and see my show. Shit, my show was maybe 10 minutes long in there because we each had our own stage, and there was a big circle, an outer circle with all these stages, and each odd attraction would be on their own stage, 6 feet tall stage.
They keep asking you, who was your favorite performer in the sideshow? Who's your favorite person to watch or to look at?
Wow. Well, you know, every one of them was like shocking. That's what the whole idea was. You know, who was my favorite? I loved the little people. There was a family called the Doll Family. And the Doll Family, they were in The Wizard of Oz up front, because, you know, most of them were kids in the back. And Harry Doll was the one I offered you a lollipop, you know, and they've been in the circus for a zillion years. They're from Germany. And I loved them because the second year that I came back, then I realized what I had to do to make friends with all of them. And I had to sell something. The first year I didn't sell something. Everybody sold something for 10 cents. A little mirror with their picture on it or something. And I got, oh my God, I got a fake. A fake. It was a fake. I should be in jail.
No, you were part of, you know, it would be circus. What, the carnival now?
Yeah,
is, you know, the circus back then is you were a carny.
I had a little, I had a show. After my little act, I had a little kid. There were hardly any kids in the big top. And, you know, families that travel with their kids. And they had this little kid. I gave him 25 cents a day, you know, for him to be my show and come up and work this puppet, which was a fake. And in the paper bag, you know, wasn't really it was the puppet, but nothing like the one that I had that was all sequined and you know, weighted down, and it had more strings. It was paper.
You sold them crap.
And oh my God, I cleaned up. I supported my family, you know. They originally offered me $40 a week And I was so frightened because I didn't tell my dad. I auditioned in Madison Square Garden in the basement with my act because I saw an ad in Billboard magazine that said the Ringling Brothers Circus, Barnum and Bailey, are looking for novelty acts for the sideshow. I thought just for New York. So I went down in the basement. They hadn't opened yet. They were still rehearsing. And because they play New York for a month every year, Madison Square Garden. And I auditioned with my Victrola. And he said, okay, you know, the Nazi manager, Schmidt, oh, he was just an evil man. And he said, okay, $40 a week. And I said, oh, I became frightened. He said, you're going to travel all over the country. I said, all over the country? Can I bring my family? No, alone. And I said, oh, I can't do that. He said, well, how much do you want? And I said, $50. And and he said, okay, but if you suck, well, he didn't use those words.
If you're terrible.
No, he had a German accent.
Chuck you out of the train in the middle of nowhere.
Can you do it?
No, I'm not good at German.
Neither am I. Okay, and so he said, okay, but if you suck, then whatever. He said, we'll go back to the 40 or you'll be fired. I went to my dad and I said 50. He didn't believe me. He said, you'll quit school? Oh my God. You're going to get to see America? $200 a month? That's going to feed our family
forever.
We're going to be millionaires.
I still am trying to do the math on that.
$200
$200 a month.
Are you
$2,400 a year. How many years would it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? Is how my brain works with that.
What are you talking about?
That is, how long would that take to become a millionaire?
Well, that's a millionaire. When you pay $20 a month rent, you know, not $2,000.
I know.
Or
you should have been buying houses at a child's age.
There's the problem. There is the problem.
I'm going to go back in time. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back in time.
Have we been on for an hour?
We have. It's been so much fun, hasn't it?
Wow. Kelly.
I'm so excited.
Kelly was right. You know, I said, I can't do an hour by myself, Kelly.
I told you you can.
Yeah. And so, you know, everything that I said to you about, you know, 2023, and it's going to be, I know you hear it a lot, but I want you to quote me. It is going to be a special year. You wait and see. And then at 2024, if I'm still on, and then you can throw tomatoes at me and say,
oh, that's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Hey,
but we do have some great things coming up. We really do. We have yes. Some are in the works. We have places that we may possibly be traveling to for Comic-Con type things in different areas of the world.
You know why?
Possibly.
Well, the only reason I'd love to do that because I love to see you guys in person. It's so much fun. And, you know, as difficult as it is, you know, to leave my little castle here and venture forth into the world. Well, you know what you are? You are the quintessential hobbit in a hobbit hole. Don't use the hobbits. Don't worry. The hobbits don't like adventures. That is one thing I learned from reading. Yes. I love adventures. But not far from home. Well, that's just because I'm old. Oh, is that what it is? Because you're old? Oh, no. You know, me, every night I was at a concert. I was at the theater. I was
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's all close to
Oh,
home.
look at my jacket. Wait a minute.
It is a very cool jacket. But we do have things planned like that. What a lot of people don't know, but some do locally, last year I introduced Sid to painting. So this year we were discussing doing
Yeah,
a
I'm
live.
painting. I'm painting now. You know, oh my God, wait until you see my, well,
We're going to do live. So this is
Yeah.
this is a little insider thing that Sid and I have been discussing for a while, is we are going to, they started a new thing where I guess you can have a special badge sort of thing. They used to do badges and people got upset because we would put the badges across the bottom of our lives. But now if you join as a subscriber, Sid and I are going to do special lives, maybe once a month, maybe every 2 weeks or so, where we will sit and paint. And we will tell tiny stories. And it will be something very special for our subscribers.
Wow. No, that's so much fun. Just little paintings on little canvases, you know, that are, that's what we've been painting on. I've been painting, you know, on these little canvases. They're stretched on a little frame, and well, and they're pretty damn good. You know, mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Well, we
did a few, and we hid them, and people went out.
Yes,
yeah.
And we're going to do that again.
Yeah.
There is, so every year they do, oh my goodness, now I feel like Sid, my brain stopped working.
It's
they
4
do
o'clock.
I know, it's okay.
Yeah.
They do, I'll post it. They do a mushroom thing where every year people create mushrooms. Game of Shrooms.
Yeah.
Game of Shrooms. I know you want to say no monetizing, but just so you guys know, somebody did ask if I work for Sid. The answer to that is no, I don't. Actually, Sid and I are friends, and I met Sid more than a decade ago. And during COVID, we created this show, and I come up here for a labor of love, and we share a lot of things, obviously, for free. So to do something that's a little bit special for those that actually do a subscription, that is one of those things that I feel is cool, because we're not monetizing our show, and we're not monetizing really anything. So there we go.
No, but I was chosen.
You were
the
chosen the guest of the year,
year,
and you got a really nice mention from them. I wish you got a big check. That'd be cool.
Oh, a check. Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, everybody, love you. Next week, I hope we have a huge star coming on, but we haven't heard back.
I'm waiting to hear back, but that's okay, because we actually have several people waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of big people coming up this coming year. And
we do, I hope.
We do. And you know what? I am so grateful for absolutely every person who has been here, who has been with us, who comments.
Thank you.
Even if...
Thank you, everybody.
Negatively,
Is
positively.
Anybody watching today?
Not one. We remember when we started, you had 3, and today we have 7.
7.
Yes. But thank you, every single person.
I love you so much. And don't forget, quote me, okay? And I'll see you next week. To be continued. Happy New Year.